Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at a really fascinating challenge, something right at the heart of artificial intelligence. How in the world do you grade an AI when there's no single right answer?
Okay, so let's really dive into this. I mean, think about it. You ask an AI to summarize a dense article or, I don't know, write a creative email. It could spit out a million different answers, right? So how do we know if any of them are actually good? Is it helpful? Does it make sense? Is it even true? This is a huge headache for the folks who are trying to build these things to be better and safer for all of us.
So here's what we're going to cover today. First, we'll break down exactly why the old ways of grading AI just don't cut it anymore. Then we're going to look at a pretty wild solution using one AI to judge other AIs. We'll even go inside a system called EvaluLLM to see how it all works. How they pick a winner, how humans make sure the AI judge is playing fair, and finally, why any of this really matters for the future of AI.
All right, first up, let's get right to the root of the problem. Why can't we just use the same old report cards for these super advanced new AI models? What's so different?
Well, for years, we had these metrics like blue and rouge, and honestly, they were pretty good for things like machine translation. They'd basically just check if the AI's answer had the right keywords compared to a perfect translation. But today's AI, it's a whole different ballgame. It's creative, it understands nuance, it gets context. It's not just spitting out one correct answer. It's generating all sorts of different outputs, which makes that old, rigid keyword counting method, well, pretty much useless.
So if the old metrics are broken, and we can't possibly have humans grade every single thing an AI says, that would be incredibly slow and cost a fortune. What do we do? What's the alternative? Well, this is where a really big idea comes into play.
What if we use a powerful AI to evaluate the outputs of other AIs? The idea is to use one big large language model as a kind of judge, a judge that's customizable, that can scale up, and that gives consistent results. Instead of a rigid answer key, you can just tell this AI judge what you're looking for in plain English. Things like, be helpful or don't use a bunch of technical jargon.
Okay, that sounds cool in theory, but how does it actually work? Let's step inside what we can call the EvaluLLM arena, where these AI models go head-to-head in a competition. This diagram lays out the whole process, and you can really think of it like a tournament for AIs. It starts on the left, where you set up a task and give it to a bunch of different models. Then, in the middle, their answers get compared, two at a time, by that AI evaluator we talked about. And finally, on the right, all those wins and losses are tallied up to create a final leaderboard. It's a really structured way to see who comes out on top.
So let's break that down even more. Step 1, you build the task. You decide what you want the AIs to do and what good looks like. Step 2, all the different AI models get the same prompt and generate their best answer. Step 3 is the big one. The AI judge looks at two of these answers side by side and has to pick a winner. And finally, step 4, the system takes all those individual wins and losses and crunches the numbers to create a final ranking.
Okay, so here's a real example of what that evaluation stage looks like. The AI judge gets these two responses. Output A, you'll notice, is practical, it's right on topic. Output B, well, it starts off okay, but then it completely goes off the rails with a random fact about Roman aqueducts. So if your main criteria is be useful, the choice here is, pretty obvious. And here's the really important part. The AI judge doesn't just say A wins. It actually explains why. It gives a reason, a rationale. And this is absolutely critical for the developers. It helps them understand exactly what went right and what went wrong so they can go back and actually improve their models. All right, so a single matchup is easy to understand. But how do you take thousands of these little head-to-head duels and turn them into a clear final result? How do you actually crown a champion? It all comes down to a really simple but powerful metric, the win rate. It's exactly what it sounds like. The number of times a model won its matchups divided by the total number of times it competed. It's a super straightforward and intuitive way to see how well each model is performing overall. So when you calculate that win rate for every single model across all the different challenges, you get this, a final performance leaderboard. It makes it super easy to see who's at the top of the class. In this case, Model D is crushing it with a 78% win rate, and, which models are lagging behind, like poor Model E down at the bottom. But what's really cool is that you can dig even deeper. You can pull up a wins matrix like this one, which shows you exactly how each model did against every other competitor. For example, if you look at the showdown between Model A and Model B, you can see that Model A won 72 times, while Model B only managed to win 28.
Getting this kind of granular detail is just invaluable for figuring out a model's specific strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, but this whole system hinges on one thing, right? The AI judge. And that, of course, brings up a very, very important question. I mean, can we really trust its decisions? If we're using an AI to grade other AIs, how do we know for sure that the judge is being fair, that it isn't biased, that it's actually following the rules we set out for it? And what's to stop it from just picking the answers that sound the most like something it would write itself? Well, the answer is verification. You build trust by checking its work. You take a sample of the AI's decisions and you give them to human reviewers without telling them which answer the AI picked. The agreement score is just the percentage of times the human reviewers made the exact same choice as the AI judge.
And when you see consistently high agreement scores, like these rates, all around 80% or higher, that's when you can start to feel confident. It tells you that the AI judge's decisions are lining up really well with what humans prefer. It means it's getting it right. This human-in-the-loop check is absolutely vital for making sure this whole automated process is still grounded in actual human values.
Okay, so let's zoom out and bring this all together. Why go to all this trouble? Why build this whole complex system of an AI judging other AIs? What's the big picture here?
Well, the crucial thing to understand is that better evaluation like this has a massive impact. First, it means much faster development because you can get feedback almost instantly. Second, it helps us build safer AI because you can test for complex things like helpfulness or factuality over and over again. It's also a key way to make sure these systems are actually aligned with our values. And finally, it's repeatable and it's scalable, which just blows the limits of manual human grading right out of the water. And all this leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought to chew on. We've just seen how an AI can be trained to handle nuanced, subjective judgments, a skill that not too long ago we thought was uniquely human. So, if an AI can be a fair judge of another AI's work, what other complex human roles, ones that really rely on good judgment, could it help us redefine? It's a huge question, and one that really opens up a whole new world of possibilities.